Claire, Andrew is perturbed, particularly perturbed. Out in the show me state, do people get perturbed, or do you guys have a different word for that?
Well, gobsmacked. I think the lawyers that are watching this, and particularly the other federal judges that are watching this, are all like, what in the world? This woman has a serious case of robitis, and robitis is a disease that inflicts a federal judge. Once they get the lifetime appointment, they forget that they are accountable to anyone, and even not accountable to the people who appear in front of them, the lawyers who appear in front of them. Let me give you an example how nuts this is. People file a friend of the court brief many times on various issues. Typically, they are only looked at and potentially maybe argued at the appellate level. This woman, on an issue that has been litigated over and over again about the constitutionality of a special counsel, she's letting people who filed briefs come in and argue in front of her like she's a Supreme Court judge or something. It's just beyond weird. No question, it looks like she's in the tank. It may turn out that she's not, but the appearance of impropriety here, not just with her timing, her failure to act, but the rulings she's made. And as Andrew says, when you get reversed twice by a really conservative appellate court, you start paying attention, because no judge likes being reversed, even one who doesn't know what she's doing.
David Jolly, I come to you as I believe the sole Floridian, or at least Florida resident on this panel, and I won't make you try to defend all the things that are going on in your state, including in this courtroom, but I will read to you from the Wall Street Journal and ask you what you think about this. 3 days of hearing palooza. Here's a quote that I found quite gobsmacking, I believe was Claire's word. I'm with that. Quote, at a hearing on Friday, Eileen Cannon, Judge Cannon, took the unusual step of allowing a Texas law professor and 2 other lawyers unaffiliated with the case, to argue on whether the special counsel behind the prosecution, Jack Smith, was unlawfully appointed. She cut off the law professor, Josh Blackman, as he quoted a line from the Spider-Man comics and later nudged him to finish his argument. I do want to let you wrap up, she said. So she basically is kind of letting these clowns into the courtroom, and then being shocked that they're wearing that they have bozo noses and fright wigs. What say you about the state of things in this courtroom in your state?
I think the greatest gift for Eileen Cannon is there's no cameras in the courtroom, because it is clear, as Andrew and Claire have said, it's clear to a layperson she's unqualified, at least for this case. Maybe her credentials prepared her for the bench, but she's very new to the bench, and she is absolutely unqualified for this case. And so how does she cover that? What it seems she's doing is saying, well, then I'm going to be exceedingly thorough. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to listen to everybody. Also, perhaps politically knowing that that favors Donald Trump's fortunes if in the end he indeed is elected president. I think that, the lightning bolt last week that came out says everything, that the senior judge, the chief judge, suggested that she recuse herself and let a more experienced judge take the case, and yet she went ahead and did it. I think another glaring sign is in the Jack Smith filing you just read from, where it talks about the imminency of threat. The crux of his case, his argument, actually relies not on law, but he says common human experience tells us that Donald Trump's rhetoric is violent and would incite violence. That's basically saying, Judge Eileen Cannon, don't overthink this or over-lawyer or over-judge this. Common sense would tell you this. And maybe if Eileen Cannon is paying the least bit of attention to anything outside of her courtroom, she might realize that the common sense of America is looking at her saying, what are you doing? Because it is obvious that you're unprepared for this moment.
Andrew, Ty Cobb, the lawyer, not the baseball player, who worked for Donald Trump for a period of time and now criticizes him frequently and has the most excellent mustache known to man, was on television the other day making an argument that I'd like you to hear and react to. So let's play that.
The worst thing that could happen to her is that she actually does rule for Trump on this, because that would go to the 11th Circuit. And then I think this, petty partisan prima donna would be put in her place and they would remove her.
Andrew, he's gone full Santa Claus. He's not just the mustache, but the beard on Ty Cobb now. What do you make of that argument? The notion that in the way that Cannon has been bending over backwards to favor Trump, it could end up backfiring on her.
I totally agree. Ty Cobb's an excellent lawyer. Leave aside the way he dresses and his alliteration. I mean, his point here is absolutely right. This is an issue that is serious. You go into law enforcement, you are at the Department of Justice to take seriously threats to civilians, threats to law enforcement. If Judge Cannon knew what she was doing, she would really put it to the Trump team to say, isn't it a fact that what you said is false? And make them really defend on the issue of isn't there sort of a knowing and imminent harm here? If she rules for Trump, it is the kind of issue. The reason you are in law enforcement is to protect people. The idea that this would not be taken up to the 11th Circuit seems really remote to me. I sort of put myself in, what would I do in that situation? You would do everything you can to protect people in law enforcement the way that you try to protect witnesses and jurors and court staff. And this is the kind of thing that it doesn't take a conservative or a liberal judge. It's sort of should be a bipartisan issue on the 11th Circuit, that this is the kind of thing that will really show her incompetence, both in terms of the substance for ruling and, as I mentioned, the timing of it, that she waited so long to hear this matter.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.